Good to go.
Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call for a motion for the acceptance of the January 24th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Call for a motion to acceptance of the minutes of the January 26th special meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Public forum for this evening. There's nobody for public forum for this evening. And before I get to the presentations, we have Scott Butler here in our audience. Scott, could you just give us a quick update of where we are with this construction project?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we just want a
Barry,
quick
just
update.
2 seconds.
Sorry about that. Here tonight just to aid the support. I know there's some pay recs on the agenda for tonight and a couple of change orders. If you guys have any questions and if that all passes correctly, we plan on starting Monday and to continue Monday daily, weather pending, till completion.
So that sand issue is all taken care of?
That sand issue is in the conversation for today, and once that's resolved, then it gets excavated, backfilled, structural supported, and then
Okay. Any questions for Scott while he's there? Iris?
Actually, one of the change orders was a modified foundation walls, and it was like $45,000. So I was just wondering, I don't need to know technically what it is, but just give us an idea of what that is.
So when we're doing new foundations, there's always unforeseen conditions. You don't know what's really under the ground. The architect hires a geotechnical engineer to give them a level of confidence on the structural stability. Sand is not one of them. So we had in the base bid excavation up to 2 feet. The geotech engineer recommended we go down to 4 based on once we excavated the 2 feet, and we saw what we saw. We also wanted to make sure that we were expediting any additional sand or bad medium that we may have uncovered, so we did some test pits while we were out here with the geotech on board.
Right.
So that way they could see where the foundations were, so that way we didn't do this, and then they continue digging, and then we have to come back, right? We just kind of lumped it all together. So half of that is removing all of the unsuitable soil, right? Coming back with structural fill, so the building doesn't crack, it's stable, it's settled. And then once we did that, we were able to verify base footings, right? And they weren't what was on previous as-builts from decades and decades ago, so we had to extend some of the concrete a little bit. So it's like 2/3 some of the soil, and most of that is just buying the material. And then the other part is adjusting the depths of the foundations, so that way you had a monolithic base.
Thank you.
John?
Are you telling me we're starting a project? Is that, you saying?
We broke ground October of last year, right? We found some unsuitable conditions, started to get cold. We didn't want to put some bad work in front of good work, so we kind of froze it, no pun intended, for December. Did some of the soil excavation, and then we're going to start, if all goes well tonight, we'll start Monday, and then I'll have regularly updates because we'll be daily out there until we're complete.
Well, I'm very excited about that. I hope the state ed commissioner doesn't know, because she'll put a halt on it. We've waited so long to get this going. It's so exciting to actually see progress, so thank you.
Every other Tuesday, we've been having progress meetings, so we're good on submittals, we're going on procurement. I mean, steel has been procured, windows have been procured. We're going through some finishes with Lisa and Vince to make sure that everything's aesthetically pleasing when we come to start painting. And
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anybody else? If not, thank you, Scott. We look forward to some more interesting reports in the future.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Now call up our very own Tracy Barry to give us an overview of College Fair. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you. So my name is Tracy Berry. I'm one of the school counselors here at the senior high school, and I want to thank you for this opportunity to share what a success the College Fair was. So my vision for the college fair was to have at least 20 colleges. I wanted to give the students the opportunity to meet the college reps, have that experience speaking to college reps. And for most of our students, this is the first time they've ever been to a college fair. So, you know, we recruited volunteers. The students were able to get community service hours from their volunteer efforts, so that was great. We also provided incentives for our students to make use of their time and kind of give them an incentive to make their way around the room and visit each college rep. So we gave them a punch card and they put their names on that punch card. So every time they asked a college rep a question, they would get their card punched, and at the end, they would go, that card would go into a raffle. So 18 colleges attended, which was a great success, you know, for our first time. And these are just a couple of pictures of the college fair. These are some colleges that attended. It was a mixture of community college, four-year colleges, SUNY colleges, and private colleges. The students were engaged, they were asking questions. We had grades 7th through 12th grade were in attendance. These are our volunteers. The students were given a survey at the end. Let me share the results. So the majority of our students felt that the college fair was valuable to them, so that was great. They visited all of the college reps pretty much evenly, as you can see from that middle column there. And the college that most students felt that they would attend was SUNY New Paltz. So my future plans for the college fair is to host it annually. That's the plan. I want to invite more colleges. I invited more than 20 colleges, but you know, like some accepted, some didn't. We're in discussions about changing the hosting time. So it's from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., which is a long day. Normally, typically, the college fairs last like 2 hours at a school. So we're in discussions about changing that duration time. I would like to collect more feedback from students and also create a survey for the teachers and also for the college reps, just to see how we did as a school and, you know, just see also what more can we do, like to get our kids like more involved. Now let's hear from our students.
My name is Jillian Yonker. I'm a senior here, and I attended the college fair. I really enjoyed it because we got to meet representatives from different schools that I didn't even know existed. The only thing that I would change is probably having more schools there, and like having the school stay through the whole day so that more students could meet representatives.
My name is Donaldson Morales. I went to a college fair this year. I think it was good. I liked it a lot because you could see different colleges around. You can go to each one, talk to each one, see what courses they offer. I wouldn't change it. I would just have more colleges next year for the students.
Hello, my name's Raymond Younger. I'm the attendance supervisor here at Ellenville School District. I thought the college fair was well attended. I was there. The students were really engaged and really focused and receiving information from various colleges, and I thought it was great. We need to do it again and more often.
Hi, my name is Julia. I'm in 9th grade, and I think that the college fair is very good. It's good to know where you want to go and what you want to do in the future with, whatever you want to be. I want to be a veterinarian, so it was very good. I probably signed up for a couple of colleges, probably 5 colleges. It's good. I suggest you go, and I probably think what they could do better is bring more colleges so you have more advantages and know what you want to do in the future. But my experience was very good, and I appreciate it.
My name is Rob Marino. I attended the college fair, and I thought it was great because I interacted with so many colleges, got to meet a lot of people, learned a lot of facts and everything about college. A couple of things I wish that the college fair had more of were a couple more Division I schools, high Division I, high Division II, a lot more schools like that, but overall I thought it was great.
Thank you. I just want to say, on behalf of the board, thank you very much for taking the time to put this presentation together, and also thank you very much for putting that college fair on. It was a huge undertaking, so thank you to you and all the people who participated in that. And also thank you for coming here tonight and volunteering your time to show the board what actually went on with the college fair. Like to maybe in the future if you have one of these again, please make sure the board members are aware of it so that we can also attend as well. Thank you, but thank you so much, really. You did a great job.
Thank
John?
you.
Yes, Tracy, outstanding job for your first time. I made a suggestion before you were here to Lisa and Kelly that one of your goals was to get more colleges to come. They send their reps out based on what the potential numbers of students will be there, because as you know, they're constantly traveling. And I had made the suggestion that perhaps if we invited several of the surrounding school districts like Rondout and Fallsburg and Tri-Valley and stuff, when you contact these colleges, you could let them know that we will have an increased number of students this year, and I think that would get your number of colleges up.
Okay. that's a
But
good
great
idea.
job, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the board? Lisa?
Thank you, this was really terrific. I am wondering if there's any possibility that parents would be able to attend. I know that can be complicated, but might be an opportunity for the adults to do a lap and get information from the school.
That's a good idea, too. I'm in discussion right now with Mr. Pabon about the duration time. So that's definitely something that we can discuss. Maybe it may not be during the day, maybe at night. So we'll discuss that, but that's a great idea, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Danny?
Do you have any plans on having any trade schools or possible military recruiters during your next college fair to show students what opportunities are out there as well?
Well, we were in discussion, I was in discussion with Ms. White regarding not a summer, but a spring career tech fair. And we were thinking about inviting more career tech and the military during that time.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? If not, once again, please accept our humble thank you very much for a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to reports of correspondence. Just want to say that I was able to see the play put on this weekend, and it was wonderful. And I want to thank all the volunteers, all the staff, all the people who staffed it, Holly Budd, Allison Robinson, Kim, people that I saw that, and just the list goes on as far as who put it together, and thank everybody for their volunteers, because that play was a wonderful production, a really wonderful production. Jody.
I was able to see the play also Friday night. I have one question. We talked about this once before, possibly doing a matinee for seniors and for children who maybe the 7 o'clock show is too late for them. Is that something we can look into again? We talked about even getting maybe a bus or getting transportation for seniors and to get to the school.
I will, we have the senior high production coming up. Let me run it by them and see if maybe we could do something for this upcoming one, and then we'll talk about it for next year's production.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think the number of volunteers that we had was wonderful. I'd like to thank all them for coming out. And
Absolutely.
there's more plays, so as many more volunteers want to come out and help out with the senior play, feel free. Board members? Iris?
I just wanted to comment on the building principal reports and also the TV and radio report. I really appreciated receiving that information. You know, I don't spend a lot of time in the building and see it with my own eyes because that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I just like, you know, I like detail, but it really does give me a sense of what's going on. And I just appreciate that we put that in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? John?
Yeah, and just in discussion with the superintendent, we're going to start planning for next year's Hall of Fame induction, and just let the public know that we're accepting applications for anybody that you think, player, coach, community member that's contributed that might be Hall of Fame worthy. We take those nominations year-round, but the deadline this year will be somewhere around the end of April, so if anybody out there in TV land wants to nominate somebody, there's still plenty of tremendous athletes and coaches out there from Ellenville that are eligible for nomination. Thank you.
And on that note, could I get a report from our newly formed committee on the Hall of Fame for the Arts?
Sure. So the committee members have all been doing some research independently, looking at what other schools have launched similar programs to recognize alumni who have made careers in the arts. We are planning to get together this weekend to formulate our next steps, think about what the parameters might be, what kind of budget we might need to proceed, and then we will begin to reach out to some, look for some other volunteers to help us move forward with it.
Thank you. And, you know, I watch this on NFL all the time. They always thank the camera people, the guys behind the scenes and the ladies behind the scenes. So step out behind those cameras, get your picture on TV. We want to recognize you guys. Say hello to TV land, and we thank you for your volunteering and coming down here. I want you to get your, come on, get your faces out there. Let people see what our students are capable of. Turn around, say hello. Wave to the cameras there, fellas. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you on Fox Sports one day. All right, we will move on to and speaking of Cameraland and famous TV personalities in the future, we'll move on to our trusty correspondent, Mr. Jack Henry.
Thank you. So the Chamber Singers are singing Valentines. If you would like the Chamber Singers to sing a sweet song for someone you love, you can buy one until Friday. They are $3 in person and $4 on a phone call. On Friday, the district is celebrating PS I Love You Day, and the Student Council is providing hot chocolate for all staff and students in grades 7 to 12 that morning. And be sure to wear purple on Friday to help spread awareness around mental health. Our goal is that our students hear nothing but positive messages that make them feel special, loved, and remind them that they are never alone. And the junior high school presented their musical Frozen Junior on the 3rd and the 4th at 7 o'clock in the auditorium, and it was a huge success. The cast put on an outstanding performance on Friday and Saturday night. I saw a few members of the board, Miss White, Lisa, Miss Wiles, and Iris. I think we can all agree we can say nothing but amazing things. It was a great show.
Yes, it was.
And speaking of the senior high play, rehearsals of Grease continued this week. And for athletics, this is what's been going on this week. So today, JV and varsity boys basketball are playing home today. Tomorrow, modified boys basketball are at Weebutuck, and girls are playing home at 4:15. On Friday, the varsity boys basketball are playing home and honoring their senior players at 6 o'clock, and the girls are away against Dover. And on Monday the 13th, the modified boys basketball are playing home at 4:15, and the girls are away against Pine Plains. Finally, for fundraising, the Chamber Singers are singing Valentines. The senior class is selling Krispy Kreme donuts. The class of 2025, they are hosting a Valentine's dance on February 17th. The class of 2026 is hosting a movie night in the senior high school auditorium at 5 to 9 p.m. And the class of 2027 is also selling Krispy Kreme. And it's never too late to order your Blue Devils merchandise, especially when new items are always being added. The link is the Junior Senior High School Student Council Blue Devils gear, or you can use the QR code.
Excellent, excellent. Way to go, Jack.
Thank you.
But you have to end it, say, I'm Jack Henry, CBS News.
Ellenville News.
Actually,
Ellenville
I have a
News.
question.
Yes.
Quick.
I don't know if Jack is interested or not, but have we ever offered him a Chromebook so that he could look at the public agenda? Because he's here, and he certainly can avail himself of commenting on things if he wants. I'm not talking our agenda, but, you know, the public
I
agenda.
think you have a Chromebook.
Yes, and I think we talked about that in our meeting in September.
Okay.
There's a website for all the agendas there. I have
Yes.
it bookmarked, I have it all set in
Excellent.
case
Okay.
things are good to go.
Yeah, so you could definitely bring your Chromebook.
All right,
Thanks, Jack.
I want you to feel comfortable.
all right,
Jody?
thank you.
Did I hear that the senior class and the class of 2027 are both selling Krispy Kreme?
Yes,
Can we see if we can get that so it's
there are
not-
never enough donuts.
I agree. At least at different times. I just feel like we shouldn't have two classes competing against one
I
another.
think we did have them at different times, but we'll double check that. You think I'll double check it and we'll report back to you, but yes, we will look into that. We do try to stagger them.
If both of them contact me, the both of them will make at least one sale.
Absolutely.
I put a freeze on John Burns' checking account. He cannot order it. John?
Mr. President, I appreciate you giving kudos to Jack. He does a great job, but is he calling meetings in September now?
Yeah.
But, Jack, everybody, we get hit up for everything, but I never get a Krispy Kreme person coming up to me and offering. So could you tell him that the Rev and I would like to
That's right.
drop a few dollars on a couple of dozen?
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Jack, for that always informative report. We'll move on to our superintendent, Mrs. Lisa Wiles.
So at the last meeting, we had a presentation by Stockade Works for some internship opportunities and opportunities for students that are interested in filming and the TV and radio program. So we're going to be moving forward with that program. We'll be including next year's expenses in the budget and run some of the preliminary workshops this spring. I just want to report out that Kelly did reach out to Stockade Works and ask them to do some additional writing for us to see if we can fund this through the ARPS money. And there's tier 3 and 4, or 2 and 3, that they have for supporting students in schools and programs, and we're trying to see if that aligns so we can use the grant money for that. More information to come, but we will be running the workshops and then including the money for next year in the budget for the work. So we're very happy to proceed with that. At your table, we did give you a copy of a very preliminary data sheet on pre-K that I just want to go through here for a second with you. Did you get a copy of this?
Yes, go ahead.
You did? Okay. So the allocation for the 22-23 school year, while there's an allocation in the state aid run, there's not a lot of detail behind that with regard to how it's going to be allocated out per pupil. So we took last year's information. We spoke to state ed today. And I just want to show you what the finances of pre-K would look like. So for this current year, we had an allocation of $545,236. The number of students that the state, or the FTEs that the state allows or to come up, or has given us to allocate out, is 53 students. So the per pupil allocation, and that's also for part-time and full-time, but so it's 53 FTEs. The per pupil allocation is $10,287.47. So I just want to make a clarification. So if you look at the state aid run and you see this big chunk of money for $545,000, that money is not, here it is, start a pre-K program. You only get the per pupil amount for the number of students you have in the program. So in our case, if we were going to start a pre-K, we were talking about starting it small, one class, full day, as opposed to part-time, and seeing how it goes. So if you take the $10,287 and you multiply it by 18, because that's the maximum number of students you can have with one TA in a pre-K class, the allocation that we would get out of the $545,000, that's like the max, would be $185,166. of the $185,166, we're mandated to set aside a 10% CBO, that's Community-Based Organization Pre-K program, that would get allocated out to the CBOs in our community. We found out today that there's 8 of them that qualify. So the district has to put out an RFP, which we will be working on if we move forward with this, to say to those CBOs, there's money allocated here, and here's what you have to do. So they're very prescriptive with us sharing the curriculum and the assessments that we're going to use, and those CBOs would have to follow along with the curriculum and the assessments that the school district's using. That could be part of the RFP. But we will be looking at developing an RFP. But if you take the allocation of $185,166 and you back out the 10% set aside for the CBOs, there's an allocation for $130,642, which is a far cry from $554,000 that people think that that's what we have. But that's what we have. So we did some preliminary computations today, and there has to be a teacher and a teacher assistant. So we took a higher end salary of a teacher, the benefits, and the teacher assistant and the benefits, and we compilated that number, which would be $246,133.84. The difference between the offset of the pre-K money and the offset of the expenditures is $115,491. That would be local share. So if we moved forward with this, we will have to put a line item in minimally for $115,491 that we would, have an in-kind, we'd have to spend the money out of the general fund for that, which we can look at when we're budgeting. I just want to point out to you that when we came on very difficult economic times, 10 years ago, and we had cuts, that was one of the cuts we made. There's no transportation costs in here because the transportation would run along with the full day. And these students also would be here the full day, and they would have a special, right, which we think we can definitely absorb, so we won't have any additional costs for that. We might have some nominal transportation costs that would be added to this with regard to car seats. We think we know we had to have them the last time. We're not sure. Some of the regulations have changed. So we are poring over those. But in order to move forward, we'll have to allocate around a minimum of like $115,000 towards the program. In addition to that, we'll have to purchase materials, instructional materials, that will have to be purchased along with any equipment. We have some equipment, but we'll really have to look at, what we have. So this is coming together. We told you we'd do a report. Now, what's interesting about the 23-24 school year, if you look on our state aid run, I think there was an allocation of about $750,000 or $775,000. So what we asked the state today is, did the formula for the allocation change? So if there's $775,000, what are the FTEs for the students? Tell us what the per pupil amount is. So we don't have that information yet. We're waiting for state aid planning to give us those documents. So this will be updated with next year's allocation. But we wanted to give you a sense, based on this year, if we were going to move forward with the program, how much we'd have to come with in kind. So I think it's really important to point out that when you look at that $554,000, it's not, they have $500,000 to start a pre-K program, what are they doing? That's not the case. You don't just get that money, it's a per pupil allocation that you get. And when you break it down, this is what the numbers look like. So we'll revisit this when we get to elementary, see what the budget numbers look like. I'm going to talk a little bit about the state aid runs that we included in your packet. So it's good news for the state aid. If you saw that, it was a pretty big increase for us on foundation aid, which we knew was coming. It was about a $2 million increase. So we're looking at that $2 million increase, and you know, for many years, we've been offsetting the budget with fund balance in the amount of about $2 million. So that would like close the gap for us, and that's exactly the issues we've been having with regard to state aid, that we were not fully funded with regard to foundation aid. So we're taking a look, we're going to have a budget workshop tonight, but we needed some more time to pull all this information together. Don't want to give you numbers and then have to backtrack on the numbers, so our first budget workshop will be at the next regular meeting on February 28th. That being said, it's great that they made the foundation formula whole. When you look at the percentage of the money that we got in the county, the percentage is high, the dollar is a little low. I want to make sure that that number is correct. Vince is speaking to Dr. Timms and also state aid planning to make sure that projection is correct. There was some question about some BOCES numbers in there. So there's some concern about the foundation aid formula in that the formula itself for foundation aid is an old formula, right? That goes back to the early 2000s when we had the Campaign for Fiscal Equity decision, and the formula is old, and now everyone's on safe harmless. And while they made us whole, what is the projection for state aid going to look like for high-need schools like us? There's some discussion that even though we were made whole and we have declining enrollments in the state, did the high-needs rural schools, which we are one, get a fair share of what this looks like, and what does it look like in the future so we can sustain what we have? And I want to say, for those thinking about, oh my God, they got all this state aid and they have declining enrollment, you know, there's inflationary costs that figure into what we do here. And I do want to say that even though we're shrinking, we have much more need in our district. Poverty is rising. I'm just saying that we need the resources that we need to address the needs that we have in the district. We know we added more social workers, more psychologists, we added a lot, but we still have gaps, and we're going to report out to you at the next, during the next couple of months with regard to the budget. So there's questions about where we're going in the future. We're very happy about a big bump and increase in aid like this. We're going to try to address, those additional needs we have and try to keep the gap low so that we're not as dependent on fund balance offsetting the costs as we have been. I think that's really important because that fund balance that we have, we need for reserves and other things, but if the economy tanks again, we were concerned before things got better that we were plowing through our fund balance if you look at the trends. And when you do that and you don't have fund balance, that's when you can end up in fiscal distress, and we're not near that now, but it's important that we're excited about this, but we are able to sustain where we're going. So that's one of the things I've always been concerned about, that we can sustain whatever we add. And that's the way we're looking at the ESSER money and the ART money. We're trying to do we're trying to expend that money on things that we're not building programs on if we know we're going to lose that money in a couple of years. One of the other things I want to tell you about, you'll hear more about this at the budget workshop, is part of that foundation money. They've set aside part of that for what they're calling high dosage tutoring, which we have our own program here in the elementary school. So we would be able to offset that program with these funds, but some of that foundation aid has to be set aside for students that need ELA and math support. So more to come on that, but I just wanted to point that out to you. I have a couple of other things. On February 15th at 6:15, county executive will be doing the State of the County address in our auditorium. Kind of like really February 15th, 6:15. One of the things I say very often to the politicians when they come down is that, we're on the southern end of the district. You've heard me say this. Sometimes we feel like the stepchild, right? So they've asked to use our facility to have this, the State of the County address, right? What's more exciting about that, in my humble personal opinion, is that the chamber singers have been asked to sing the Star Spangled Banner, And at the end, at the conclusion of the address, they'll be performing another piece. So we're happy that that's happening. The next thing I want to just tell you, for those of you that are on the athletic field master planning, we thought we were going to have a meeting possibly before next week on the initial phase of goals and planning for the fields. And we had to postpone that, so we're looking at a meeting at the very beginning of March. So you'll be polled on the dates, but I'm hoping maybe March 1st or 2nd or early that next week we can get started so that we can move forward on putting that plan together. The last thing I want to report on is very exciting news. So I got an email this week. We have an alumni. His name is Jesse Boodoo, for those of you that might remember him. I'm not sure of the year he graduated, but I've been here like...
60, let's see, 84. He graduated with my daughter, but I can't calculate it. She's getting too old for me.
He was in sixth grade in 92 because he was one of my DARE students.
He was born in 84.
So
He was
98.
sixth grade in 92, yeah.
So probably 98.
98.
99 he grad.
Jesse, he worked for me when he was in high school as a computer tech, so he graduated early 2000s.
All right.
84.
98 to early 2000s.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
So, you know, we do this alumni spotlight, and I'm referring him for the spotlight. So Jesse was working for the Attorney General in Massachusetts, but he has now been offered the job of Deputy Chief Legal Counselor to the Governor in Massachusetts, which is really a nice accomplishment. We're very proud of him. We're proud of him when he was a student here. So we'll be referring him, but I thought I'd share some good news.
2002.
2002. So some good news and have some biographies. We are talking about putting pictures up and little bios in the hall, and then also doing the newsletter and some more promotion on Facebook. So I just thought I'd share that with you.
Just a quick question. Who is going to spearhead the alumni project?
Well, we're working on that. I was hoping that maybe the committee
There's a
that
committee.
is doing the arts committee we can I'm just saying, it would be great
Piggyback.
if we can piggyback on that with, and we'll give you resources and a budget. How about that? And then I know we can produce the posters ourselves, but I think that Tim Lukaseski has helped us in the past with putting pictures up and posters up and biography, but we can use some help. We can also use our PR people at BOCES for a lot of this, as we do for the Athletic Hall of Fame. So I thought I'd share that tonight.
John.
Good, positive news.
Elisa, I have a couple of questions on the pre-K thing, make sure I'm okay on this when we get to the budget. The CBOs, how closely do they have to follow what we do? I noticed you said we send them what it is we do, but how closely do they have to follow that, and who's responsible for monitoring it?
We're responsible for monitoring, and we're responsible for being very clear in the RFP on what's expected. They must follow the New York State the standards, and there's some leeway that's been given with regard to certification. In the past for these programs, they required CBOs to have certified teachers in the program. They don't require that anymore. But if there's no teacher in the program or a supervisor of the program that's certified, they have to develop a plan on how they plan to have someone certified in 5 years, how they're going to follow the standards, and the school district's responsible for the oversight. So we are responsible for the oversight of the CBOs that put in. We are also, it's not an automatic. We get to look at the RFPs that they submit, and we get to, using a rubric that can be developed, determine if they've met the criteria to getting the allocation.
We've done mostly half-day pre-Ks in the past?
Only half days.
Always, okay. I was looking at the costs, and you're right, the numbers it doesn't get as high as you would think they would, but when we take a look at the teacher and the teacher assistant for this 1K, are these teachers and aides on staff or new hires?
We think next year they will be on staff. We're looking at our enrollment projections, and we have a retirement, and we think, we're looking at the numbers, we're thinking we can absorb that position in a pre-K positions. Our class sizes are relatively small in certain grade levels, so we're looking at on how that would look. We want to keep our classrooms small.
Yeah, we did that purposely.
Right, but some of them have really shrunk down. You know, a small class size in the elementary school is like 18 to 20 is a small class size. We have some classes that have really shrunk way below that we can pop back up to 18 and see if we can, to run a pre-K
So the
program.
relatively high salary for the teacher would be if it was somebody on staff that was experienced.
That's right.
Okay.
And that's why I went to, I think, not step 25, but either 22 or 19, so that we have someone that is experienced. And that could fluctuate based on.
And finally, I saw there were 2 columns for benefits.
Yes, so one is health insurance, the other is other. So the cost of benefits in school districts and municipalities is significant, so the health insurance is a significant cost. The other piece of that is the FICA, Social Security, Medicare, TRS costs. So TRS is 10%, and I think it's about 10, maybe falling at 9.5 for next year, but around 10 we figured. FICA is about 7.65, and then we rounded up to 20 for unemployment, workers' comp, and any other
But
miscellaneous.
if these were the
stuff.
same teachers that we have on staff now, would those not be applicable to, because we're already paying for them?
We're looking at that to
Okay,
say.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Lisa?
I had a comment about Stockade. I don't know if, do we think, could they be persuaded to attend the career day that was mentioned before?
Yeah, I don't think it would be a hard persuade for them at all. I think they're very excited about being involved with the
Yeah,
district.
I think it would be great if they could be in front of all the students
Yeah.
in a fair like that.
And congratulations, Jesse Voodoo. I remember when he was a DARE student, I used to play chess with him.
Yeah.
He beat me every single time. 6th grader. And I consider myself a great chess player, but I think after like the 15th time, I refused to play him. But he's a really smart kid, really good kid. Next will be Assistant Superintendent for Business, Vince Napoli.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Thank you. Deputy Superintendent Kelly White.
I also have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. I think Lisa took all your times. Sorry.
Oh, well.
All right, here we go. On to personnel resolutions for this evening. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved, the following substitute personnel be appointed for the 22-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved, the appointment of Trish Schofield, cafeteria monitor, be made permanent following successful probationary period.
So moved.
Been
Second.
moved?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the appointment of Amanda Moronsky, cafeteria monitor, be made permanent following successful probationary period effective March 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Moved?
Second.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be it resolved the appointment of Carol Avery, teacher's aide, be made permanent following successful probationary period effective March 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Just want to point out, she was one of those volunteers that worked on the Frozen, and she put a lot of time and effort into that, so thank you. And hopefully, she continues that in our school district. Anything further? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the appointment of Nastasia Roldan Montez, teacher's aide, be made permanent following successful probationary period, effective March 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Moved, seconded. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the appointment of Brianna Mangrum, caseworker, be made permanent following successful probationary period effective March 1st, 2023.
So, second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the appointment of Jamie Friedrich, security attendant, be made permanent following successful probationary period effective March 1st, 2023.
Second.
Moved. Seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved that Pedro Roman's resolution dated 1/10/23 be amended to reflect the start date of January 30th, 2023, and a probationary end date of September 29th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Lisa, we get a lot of these. Is there a reason why we always have to keep coming back to these?
Yes, so we anticipated a start date, but after discussing this with the candidate or the employee, he needed more time for his notice to employees. So it's important that we change this for the record so the probationary periods are correct moving forward.
So could we try to get these in place before we have to keep revisiting?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
But when there's a date change.
Yeah, that's
we
fine,
have to
but-
change it.
All right, all those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Spring coaches. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the following coaches
Move
be
the
approved
list
as
as
indicated.
presented.
Second.
The list has been moved and then seconded. Discussion. John?
Have we filled all our spring sports? I see the list here, but did we fill all of them?
We just need, the registration has not opened yet, and we have to appoint our JV and our modified teams.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the resignation of Steve Paulson, a security attendant, be accepted for the purposes of retirement. Close of business effective February 3rd, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the resignation of Matthew Mecking be for extended day science, 7/8, be accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, be resolved the attached list of junior, senior high school extended day personnel be approved at a rate of $44 per hour worked for the 22-23 school year.
Move the list as presented.
Second.
This has been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor? Oh, excuse me. John, you got a
Yeah,
question?
is the position that he resigned from filled? Or did, because I didn't see anything there.
It is not filled.
Not filled. Anybody else? Not all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Student IEPs. Resolve the attached list of student IEPs be acknowledged as appropriate. There are 32.
Move the list as presented.
Second.
List has been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Construction resolutions for the
Motion to
senior.
move 8-1 through 8-6.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Scott, thanks for attending. Have a safe trip home, buddy. 9.1, resolve the donation for Applied Materials Foundation in the amount of $200 for the Ellenville Junior Senior High School be accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Iris?
So we've gotten this before, and so I'm assuming that it just goes into a general fund in the junior and senior high. And I was just wondering if we contact the person who donated, I think it's Mr. Pinkley. Do we send him a note and thank him for it?
I believe we do. As part of it, I'll make sure that we do it.
Thank you.
Fees.
Anything further? All those in favor? Opposed? No one. Motion carries. Resolved that an amendment be made to reflect a donation from the Alexander R. Zemenecki Memorial Fund for an inflatable tunnel that comes with a fogger for the athletic department be accepted.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
What was amended? I thought we did this already.
It was just it was the tunnel that was,
Oh,
no,
the-
excuse me. It was a donation from the Zemeneckis, and they want it to come from the Zemenecki Foundation or the
Fund,
Memorial
from the
Fund.
fund. Okay,
That's the
yeah, okay.
difference.
Very good.
And we make sure that we send them a good, big thank you, please.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Discussion. I'm just going to say that we talk about ways of improving our athletic department, and something like that can really add some excitement to the event, so thank you to the Zemenicki Family Foundation for that.
Yes. Anybody else? All those in favor? Opposed? No one? Motion carries. Mark your calendars, the next meeting date's February 28th, 2023. Lisa?
I have a clarification.
Yes.
So the question I had about the resolution for the resignation of science, I believe that Mr. Mecking was sharing that
Oh, there's
assignment
someone
with
else there.
somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's filled, and they're not sharing, he's just doing math now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Again, next meeting is February 28th, 2023. Mark your calendars. Anybody want to see anybody, anybody want to see anything on that agenda? John?
Yeah, I brought up the possibility of an Elmville Education Foundation. Can we get a report on that in the next
Yes.
meeting?
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else, John?
No, sir.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? No one? We're adjourned.